Today is a big day for us. We are going to be harvesting our potatoes from our 2020 garden. We're very excited, so we are going to head in. This is our row with the potatoes. We planted about 44 seed potatoes back in May. There's quite a bit of mulch on top, so we have to get that off first, and we're going to bring in the wheelbarrow to get harvesting. So we have a lot of mulch on top of them. That's part of our hilling process, but we also put a little extra because we've had lots of freezing weather too, and we really need to get these out of the ground now. Soon we're going to be getting to the point where the ground is frozen and we will not be able to access them as easily. This year was a little bit different than last year when we grew potatoes. The potatoes took a really long time to die back. In fact, it was our frost that killed them, and you can tell they're just totally dead now. And I've already pre-dug some of the potatoes to check the skins. They're definitely ready to be harvested. We're gonna get all this mulch off and see what it looks like under here. As you can see, there are potatoes right on the surface, which is why I had some extra mulch on here. We didn't hill them up as much this year as we have in the past. They just get huge and it's really difficult to deal with them. So I kind of just let them do their thing after we hill them up once or twice. It was a really wet summer, and we didn't get that many that actually produce fruit, or these little tomato looking things, but it's actually the potato fruit. And we only had one plant that produced these. We're gonna be adding this to our garlic. We planted that a little while ago, and I just wanna put some extra mulch on it. This will do a great job for that. We're all set up to start digging the potatoes. We are beginning on the end of the row. This is where I planted the Fingerling varieties. I believe we have 5, so there's probably going to be a lot of potatoes just in this one area. Eric's going to jump in and we're just going to get right at it. For the first spud?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our first spud. That is a French Fingerling, which has like a maroon color on the skin, and it's a little bit like a yellow color or flesh on the inside. And then Russian banana is yellow on the outside.
Here we go.
Where do you want to push? What's our method? Remember last year we had a method like, do you want to go back this way and then come back?
I would start going this way. Oh, okay. Good one.
Me too, I can put them. French fingerlings are looking pretty good. Not as big as last year, but still a decent harvest.
That's a really big one.
That's Russian banana. So the fingerlings are a late season potato, but they do seem like they're ready to harvest. And we planted our potatoes pretty close together. I think next year I need to space them out a little bit, because what I tend to find is they're growing right next to each other, which to me that just means that although it's a good utilization of space, we're probably growing them a little bit cramped.
Oh my gosh, look at that earthworm.
Oh!
It's huge. Give that to the chickens. That is one big earthworm we just found. We usually don't find them this big.
I'm just like, he's like a snake.
He's huge.
That is an earthworm, I'm pretty sure.
Look,
Get
another one there too.
Put them back in the soil.
Earthworm.
Don't hurt them.
Okay. Oh yeah, that Russian banana one did pretty good.
It did.
It's a nice one.
I only planted 2 of those. I planted 3.
I believe I planted the Russian banana.
You know what though? Wow, look at that.
Oh yeah, that one did good.
A few things that I'm noticing so far is that these potatoes do have some scab. We had scab last year too, and that has to do with the pH of the soil. Although we have a pretty neutral to more acidic soil, really you can only not have scab if your pH is quite a bit lower than that. So I don't think that this is acidic enough. We do use certified seed potatoes, but I used these seed potatoes that I had saved, And since some of them did have scab, I kind of had a feeling that we would have a little bit of scab present this year. That's another reason why you want to rotate potato crops and not grow them in the area that you previously grew them. Now scab, if you're not familiar with it, it's really only an aesthetic thing to the potato. It really doesn't harm them, hurt them, affect the taste at all. It's just kind of an ugly little canker on the outside. So a few of them have them, a few of them don't. This one doesn't have it at all. It looks nice and beautiful. Another thing we're noticing, although the harvest is pretty good, it's not as much as last year. With the fingerlings, we usually get a lot for each seed we put in the ground. Each potato will give us typically like 50 potatoes, and I'm not quite finding that. We're getting maybe 20 to 30. So I am glad that I planted some extra this year.
Look at this.
Oh yeah. Dry.
That's a big one.
What is that?
That's is that purple Viking or purple Majesty?
It's like purple Majesty or all blue. That's purple Majesty.
That's a nice one.
That's a really nice one.
That's good right there.
Do that back here.
Oh yeah, nice fingerling down low.
Yeah, I found some on the side too, FYI. Hey, tell you what, looking at this, that's going to be great soil next year.
Good stuff. Yeah, this is a nice row.
It just needs to break down a little more. So we're on to Purple Majesty, which is a purple flesh and purple skin. It's a super dark potato, dyes everything when you cook it. But we didn't grow that many of these this year.
You know what they call them, manure, right? Manure. Okay, we're getting into one of my favorites. This is German Butterball. This is just a good all-around potato for baking, cooking, anything. It's got a yellow outside and it's almost got like a yellow inside too. So a really good potato.
I'm gonna get into this one too, but then I was just saying there's purple still here, I think. So we are finding lots of worms and lots of mushrooms, which is awesome. We're also finding a lot of the barley and hay, which looks more like a mulch. And this didn't really break down enough this year. It's probably was a little problematic in our growing season, but it's going to break down a lot more next year. So we've got a good base for a following year. This is a seed potato. Pretty gross. It is all soggy. Usually these just totally break down and we don't even find them. And those are definitely not edible. And this is a potato that still had its little attachment. So I just broke it off. Before we move on to another variety, I just wanted to kind of look and see how many German Butterballs we got. I think it's 100 or over just by giving like a rough estimate, which is pretty good. I think I planted 7 of these. So it's pretty good. None of them are massive, but nice sized potatoes. The next variety is a red variety, and I believe it is all red because this was the one last year that got huge. In fact, it was the one that was like 2.5 pounds was our biggest one. So it has an all red flesh and it's red on the outside, but they get pretty big. I think I only planted 2 of these and one of them was like this big, one of the seed potatoes. These are the young ones from that. Ooh. It's decent.
Nice one.
There's more in there. It's a really big one. So we are on to Cal White, which is a massive potato. This one last year actually got, it's kind of too big in my opinion. They get huge. You can tell these are just like the medium or smaller ones.
Nice size.
But they're massive. And they're kind of, I think they're a variety of a russet potato, or they cook similar to that. You can see Eric's just digging up massive potatoes.
Yeah, those are nice size.
And I only planted 2, I believe.
Purple. Yeah, those
Look
are
at
big ones. You know, with the varieties we grow, the only one I really notice a flavor difference in is the purple, or like the all blue where it's purple on the inside. I feel like those have a little bit sweeter, maybe?
I personally noticed the difference in textures of the different varieties. I feel like the red one with the white flesh usually has a different
Texture?
No, different flavor.
Flavor?
And like the yellow ones and with the white skin are usually a little more crisper, and the purple ones are creamier.
Purple ones are definitely creamier. If you fry up a purple potato, you're gonna get a just completely different texture, in my opinion, a lot creamier.
We like all of them. I really like to grow a variety of the colors just for fun. Eric prefers just the, all white ones are red with white flesh, primarily because they just don't dye anything. So it lends to a more pleasing color meal.
Yeah, when you fry up a purple potato, it ends up looking just like brown at the end. So I like my potato to look good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest
one so far.
Nothing like last year. Last year was like that big, I think. So this is a scab I was talking about. Looks like that. Cow white was really susceptible to that last year. I noticed it was one of the ones that got it the worst. Some of the varieties don't have it at all. They're just probably not as susceptible to it. This is my rock potato that I grew. Oh man, there's just so many still. Ooh, that may be the biggest one we got so far. Nice flat skipping rock potato. I'm fairly certain I only planted 2 cow whites because I did not like that they get scab. I didn't like how big they got. So we're getting a lot from just 2, I'm pretty sure. I tried to really separate them so I would keep them organized. And I'm gonna look back and make sure that these are cow white. We're coming into a red variety. We still have mountain rose, which has pink flesh. I grew a red skin and like yellow flesh potato too. We have purple Viking, which is purple on the outside and white on the inside. And we should have Yukon Gem, which is a gorgeous yellow potato. It doesn't quite look like this and it has a pink eye. So that one's very obvious to tell, but we haven't come into that one yet.
How'd that one go unseen? That one was way over there. Onto purple Viking, purple on the outside and white on the inside. Look at all these.
Yeah, it did really well.
Look at those. Nice. That's where it all started, folks.
So this is Yukon Gem. These got huge.
Nice. Oh yeah, that's a good looking potato right there.
You were literally like, nice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The nice one. Look at that. Big old potato.
Nice. It looks like German Butterball, the skin it gets on the outside.
This is like one of the most consistent sized
They are
potatoes.
Spuds. They're a little prone to scab though. Not
Those
as bad
are
as
beautiful
cowboy.
though.
This is a really good variety. I think the last variety is Mountain Rose. I'm pretty sure. This is a really nice variety. I really like this one. We're on to another one. Yep. Now we're on to Mountain Rose. Mountain Rose never really gets that big, but it's called that because it has, at least I believe it's called that, it has a rose-colored flesh, which is beautiful. We are almost officially done digging up all the potatoes. Mountain Rose was the last one with a fingerling that I planted on this end. And the Mountain Rose didn't really do that good. I've grown it several years in the past and I liked it. It usually is like a smaller to medium-sized potato, but this year they were tiny. So I don't know if I will grow them again. But as far as the other varieties, I think we were very pleased. We have to get them cleaned up since it's been a wet year. There's a lot of mud and dirt on them. So we're gonna get them cleaned up, we're gonna weigh them, and of course we're gonna be storing them.
This is what the final load looks like. A whole wheelbarrow full. We're gonna wash these and we're gonna try to weigh them. See how many we got.
Is this purple Viking? That is, but that's not.
That's not.
We are just lightly rinsing our potatoes to get rid of all of that wet dirt on them since our soil was so wet this year. It is totally okay to rinse them before storage. You just don't want to scrub them. So you don't want to like take a brush and scrub them or even rub them with your hands too much. We want some of the dirt to kind of stay on for storage. And in fact, if you don't have a lot of dirt on them when you yank them up, if it's drier where you're at, I wouldn't even rinse them. We don't have the root cellar this year, so a lot of our potatoes are going to be canned, gifted, and we're gonna see how long they store. My bet is they won't store longer than February in our warm, very dry cabin. What we're doing right now is approximating their weight. We have a scale that only goes to 11 pounds. So we are measuring out 11 pounds. We're going to be subtracting the bucket weight, and then we're going to fill up a full 5-gallon bucket, and that's how we're going to get an estimate for our whole harvest. So what we have found is one 5-gallon bucket, give or take, is about 30 pounds. This is definitely a rough estimate because the potatoes are such different sizes and different densities, but I have no real way to actually weigh all of them, so we thought this would be pretty fun. I planted approximately 15 pounds. I'm pretty confident with that number, and that's kind of a lot of potatoes for us. We don't usually plant that many, but we planted a lot, and I'm guessing last year we were in the 200 to 300 mark, but we didn't quite weigh them, so we'll see how many or how much we got this year. This is 30 pounds of potatoes. It feels like 30 pounds of potatoes.
Okay, we still got a lot more potatoes to go, and that was 90 pounds right there.
So this is about another 90 pounds, so we are at 180 pounds. We have a little bit left over here that we couldn't fit in the buckets, and Eric and I have previously harvested about 10 pounds throughout the season that we ate. So all in all, we're probably a little bit over 200, and I'm just going to call it 200 because this wasn't a very accurate measuring system, but really good. I do think we got more last year, but this is a really great amount this year, especially since we have even more canned food and more meat this winter, so that's awesome. Last year was phenomenal in the sense that we were able to store them in the root cellar all the way until we planted them, until May. They were totally rock hard. We brought them in the house to sprout, and it worked out wonderfully. I definitely won't be able to do that this year, so that's a bummer, but we can always buy some seed potato next spring. The only changes I'll be making next year is trying to make a more acidic row for these potatoes when I plant them. I need to bring down the acidity in the row a little bit in order to prevent scab. And I also am going to be adding a lot more bone meal. I did put bone meal on these when I planted them. However, this year I had a lot of manure, compost, a lot of, amendments that weren't quite broken down. And I think in general, our garden had like an abundance of nitrogen. So I really need to focus a little more on putting bone meal. We're going to be bringing these inside to cure. The best thing that I can do for them is keep them in a container, keep that moisture in there a little bit, and try to keep them a little bit cooler. That's better for curing. Potatoes need a really high humidity for curing and storing, so you want to cure them for about 2 weeks before you put them into storage. And storage temperatures, they can get pretty low. I mean, 35 to 40 is ideal for them. But when you're curing them, you actually want it to be a little bit warmer. It's going to be quite a bit warmer in our cabin, and that's why I just know that the curing process and the storage process is not going to be ideal. That being said, we're going to head inside and cook up some potatoes. We're in the kitchen making dinner, and we're going to make kind of like scallop potatoes, but Eric's going to be adding a mushroom cream sauce. I'm going to first slice up these potatoes and get them roasting in the oven for a little bit, and then Eric will make the sauce and add that on top. The potatoes I'm using is a German Butterball, Cal White, all red French Fingerling, and purple Viking. In the spirit of harvesting potatoes, we wanted to use quite a few that were colorful. So we're organizing our potatoes. And I believe that the pink one that I said was all red is actually Mountain Rose because it looks like Mountain Rose on the inside. So it's very difficult to tell sometimes the potatoes once you throw them all in a bed. But once we cut them up, we can usually tell which one it was. And this is purple Viking. It's got a white color on the inside. Pretty cool color. And just enough room for German Butterball. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil, some kosher salt, and some pepper. Then we're gonna get these in the oven and probably cook them for about half an hour.
All right, guys, we're pretty much gonna be making like a cream of mushroom soup to put on top of those potatoes, but it's gonna be a lot better because it's homemade. We're gonna use some heavy cream, some chanterelle mushrooms, a couple really big leeks, a couple cloves of garlic, a bunch of herbs. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get these leeks, the garlic, the mushrooms chopped up, and they're gonna go in that pan and start sauteing. So we were lucky enough to get one more harvest of the chanterelle mushrooms. Probably gonna be the last time we get these because it's starting to freeze a lot out there. So got a nice batch here. We're gonna put a bunch of these in the creamy mushroom soup. Our mushrooms, leeks, and garlic have sauteed for about 10 minutes. They're almost done. I'm gonna turn down the heat and we're gonna get some herbs and some cream added to this. For our herbs tonight, we're gonna be using thyme, sage, chives, and parsley. This is gonna go back in the oven covered for about 10 more minutes. Then I'm gonna pull it out, take the cover off. We're gonna add some sliced tomatoes to it, some fresh parsley, and then we are going to eat. Thank you guys for watching the potato harvest video. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time. Yeah.